always good to have Elvis in the building, baby. That is right. Dennis Bernstein from the fourth period, SiriusXM NHL Radio. As we get ready, it's always Thanksgiving week. It's big in the sports scene for everybody, but even hockey, because usually everyone plays the night before Thanksgiving on Wednesday, right, and usually everyone gets back out there Friday as well. And there's a lot of afternoon games Friday. It's always a very fun week on the hockey calendar. Dennis, good to see you. I have a lot of things to get to you and not a lot of time to do it. Let me start with this, just because this is in your neck of the woods. What the hell happened to the Kings at the Shark Tank last night? I think the Sharks have been kind of spunky lately. I like taking them as dogs at home sometimes, depending on the opponent. I was on them last night. But 7 goals against Los Angeles, I did not expect that.
No one did. And it was 2-2 late, and it was 2-2 going to the third. So the Kings gave up 5 goals to the Sharks. Hey, look, the Sharks are a better team. They have Celebrini. They have Will Smith. They've added guys like Toffoli and Markley Goodrow and Jake Wallman. So they're a better team. But to surrender 5, look, the first goal was terrible by British, who was not good last night. The second goal, there was no interference on the goaltender, yet Hiller decided to challenge it. There was another penalty taken. There's a 5-on-3. It was a collapse by the Kings. A very disappointing loss for this team. And here's the issue. Now they've lost twice to the Sharks in San Jose, and they're 20 games into the season. The Sharks haven't beaten any other team in the Pacific, and it's not a great division. So if the Kings wind up either missing by 4 points or maybe getting a home ice advantage for the first round by 4 points, they'll look back on these 2 games in October and November, Carver, and say, what happened here? Because that was a collapse.
It was a collapse, that's for sure. Next, Coaching Carousel has already spun a little bit, and we've seen this now in the NHL. We've seen some teams make changes early in the year, in November, and gone on runs. Edmonton did it last year, and it got them very far. I was a little puzzled with Boston just because Montgomery's record was so good with them, albeit in the regular season. But it's never good, Denny, when you fire a coach and someone else hires him less than a week later. Someone thought that your move to fire that coach was so poor that they fire their own coach to make sure that they can hire him before anyone else can. And St. Louis wasn't playing well. In fact, I would have fired Bannister too, because he's the only guy this season who wasn't able to come back in the third period against the Islanders on Saturday. Everyone else comes back. The Blues couldn't do it on Saturday, so they whacked them out, and they go and hire Montgomery immediately. What was that all about?
The Bruins helped set an NHL record. That's the quickest a coach has been hired after being fired. 5 days, Carver. 5 days. The guy had a 715 points percentage record in Boston. The team isn't that good. They have deficiencies on the wing. Swayman got paid as not playing like Swayman because he doesn't have the security blanket of Allmark. It's a mess, but, to rile up the team, what do? You're not going to trade 3 or 4 guys at game 20. So you fired the coach. It's standard operating practice in this league that you get to the 20-game mark. That's why you're starting to hear trade rooms. That's why you see coaches start getting fired. What happens is you make an assessment of the team, your scouts go out there, look around, and so now you're at the quarter mark of the season, you start making the changes. Yeah, look, Jim Montgomery will have success in St. Louis. I'm not sure how much because the roster isn't great, but that was a shocking, stunning firing by the Bruins. Joe Sacco has coached in this league before as a head coach, but we'll see. The jury's out on the Boston Bruins. And Carver, I don't think we would have said this at game 1, but at game 22, we're talking about the Bruins might be not making the playoffs.
I was actually just because I always have the odds up whenever I'm talking to you. And I can't remember the last time in the last 5 to 7 years that the Bruins were 30-1 or longer to win the Cup. And right now the Bruins are 30-1 to win the Stanley Cup. This is a team, as you know, Denny, that's usually in that top 10 to 12 teams that are on the odds board. And to see them nosedive that much, that is very telling to go and see that. Next, staying with teams that need to shake things up. You have started to hear the rumblings that the Rangers possibly want to shake some things up, whether that's roster-related or is potentially the head coach going to be a situation for them that also gets shaken up.
Yeah, well, it's a little different in New York because, look, they're 12-7-1. They have lost 3 in a row, and they've looked bad. They're generating a lot of shots against them. A lot against Calgary, a lot against Winnipeg. St. Louis came into the Garden last night and won going away. So, there's issues. Now, here's the thing. Are you really trading Chris Kreider? He's got 9 goals. He's not the problem. He's at $6.5 million for 2 more years. Like, how are you going to get value? You know Chris Kreider's going to be probably in the 30-goal range. Where are you getting a 30-goal score at $6.5 million for this season or next? It's crazy. Now, Jacob Trouba, they tried that act before. They tried trading him in the summer. So I don't know the trades are going to make it. I don't think it's Laviolette. I don't think it's his fault. I think that this team will bounce back. Carver, there's still a 625 points percentage team. It's not a disaster, but the expectations are very high. I'll be transparent. I picked them to win the cup. I'm having regrets right now. But it's about their core players. The guy that you would try to trade would be Mika Zibanejad, who for the last, season and a half hasn't really been what he needs to be for this team as a number one center. So while there's a concern, I think there's less concern because pound for pound, the Rangers have a much better roster than the Bruins. I think they'll bounce back, and I think they'll be in the mix with the Devils and the Hurricanes for the Metro title.
If I told you the stats with the Islanders in terms of what they've done outside of the third period, they have been tied or ahead after two periods in 16 of their 22 games. They have held opponents to one goal or fewer through two periods in 14 of their 22 games. They're 5-5-4 in those games. And this is the one that gets me the most, Denny. In 22 games this year, they've surrendered 33 goals in the third period. They've allowed 30 in the first, second, and overtime combined. 33 in the third, 30 in the other three. They brought Waugh in there to get rid of the third period problems, and it hasn't happened yet. I still feel it's a lot roster related, but I thought they'd clean that up a little bit, Danny. They've done none of it.
Yeah, you mentioned 16 to 22 games, and they've won 8. So half the games they blew. And again, for a team that's on the outside looking in for the playoffs, you need those 8 points. You're going to need them. They're not that their offense is, their roster isn't that great. Look, Barzal being out, I get it. It hurts the offense. So maybe he would score in the third period to help them win some games. But I think it's mindset, Carver. I think this is a mental thing and not a physical thing. If you can outplay a team for 40 minutes and you have a lead and you play it safe and you play it too safe and you have the offense to bounce back when they get a goal, it's a mystery because now it's two coaches. It's not just a Lane Lambert thing. Now it's a Patrick Waugh thing, and that's troubling. So you have to question maybe the mental makeup of this team. So when you look up at the trade line, what they're going to do with the Brock Nelson, I'm not sure what they should do with that. But it's concerning because now it's over a period of two coaches, not just one coach that has had this problem.
I would try to tear it down, Denny. I know they're not going to do that.
They're not close to winning, so you should lean towards that. You should lean into that. I think the Islander fans would acknowledge that this team isn't like a Panthers or a Devils or a Hurricanes. There's just not enough skill on the team, so I think you could break it down. Depends what you get for these guys, obviously, but I think they're far closer to a pretender than a contender at this point.
They have guys with great playoff experience like Brock Nelson and Kyle Palmieri who could be very helpful to teams in the playoffs. Great. And if you can get something for them, I would do it. The usual suspects are at the top of the betting board. It's still November, so that's understandable, Danny. The Oilers, the Stars, the Hurricanes, the Panthers. Sure. Is there anyone a little further down the list that maybe should be higher up? Winnipeg's cooled a little bit. They're still 18-1. Vancouver's at 21. Vegas is hanging at 14. Is there anyone else that you think should be a little bit higher on the board right now?
I think the only other team that they keep doing it, Carver, are the Capitals. Maybe find a way. Even with Ovi being out, they're still a plus 29 goal differential. They're still winning games. They went into Florida and beat the Panthers really well. So I think that's a real sleeper team. Now, can they do it over 82 games? I'm not sure. But for right now, they're a top 3 in the Metro, and they're playing very, very well with Spencer Carberry. So I think that would be a team. If you want to take a little flyer on a team, that would be the team I'd take a flyer on.
45-1 for Washington right now for the Cup. That's a nice deep shot that Denny's giving you right there. Denny, happy Thanksgiving to you and the family. Always good to see you, my man. Dennis Bernstein, SiriusXM NHL Radio.